and you're stuck in a pitch-black room. There are monsters everywhere, traps on the floor, and you keep dying.
In there.
You shout at the game, "Help me, kill the monsters." That and the call for relief.
Right, I want a cheat code. I want invincibility.
Exactly. But the response doesn't give you a cheat code. It doesn't kill the monsters. Instead, it turns up the brightness on your screen. That is rearranging the field. The room is still full of monsters. The traps are still there. The level is just as hard as it was 10 seconds ago. But now, because the light has changed, because the field is visible, you can navigate it.
Oh, I see. So the problem hasn't changed, but my ability to interact with the problem has completely shifted.
Precisely. Or think about a career crisis. You lose your job. You call out for help. You want a job offer to land in your inbox the next morning. That would be removing the challenge.
Sure.
That rarely happens.
Yeah.
Instead, the response might be a conversation with a friend that makes you realize you hated that industry anyway.
So the challenge is still there. I'm still unemployed, but the field has been rearranged. I'm no longer looking at the unemployment field. I'm looking at the career pivot field.
Correct. The context has shifted. And because the context shifted, new actions become possible. That is what the text means when it says, this is where meaning begins its work. It works quietly. It works by changing the context, not the content.
That brings us to this idea of how we learn this, because the text is very specific about the method. It says, the Devi Bhagavatam does not frame this as teaching. It frames it as recognition. To me, teaching and recognition feel pretty similar. What's the distinction?
Well, teaching implies that I have something you don't, and I'm giving it to you. I am filling your empty bucket. It's external. Recognition is internal. It implies that you already know the truth, somewhere deep down, but you've forgotten it.
Like when you hear a song you haven't heard in 20 years, and you think you don't know it, but then the chorus hits and you sing every word.
Yes, exactly that. Or like recognizing a face in a crowd. You don't need someone to explain the face to you. You see it, and something clicks. Oh, it's you.
I see.
The knowledge wasn't delivered to you, it was discovered. The text says, meaning is not delivered, it is discovered.
But discovery takes a long time. The text says discovery requires patience of a different kind.
We circle back to patience. But remember, earlier we talked about the patience of waiting. That's passive patience. This is active patience.
What's the difference?
This is the patience of scientists looking through a microscope, adjusting the focus dial by a millimeter at a time. You aren't just sitting there. You are actively looking, waiting for the blurry image to become sharp.
So if I'm in that gap, if I've lost that job or my relationship just ended and I'm waiting for meaning, I shouldn't just sit on the couch. I should be adjusting the focus dial.
You should be observing. You should be looking at the silence. You should be asking, okay, the easy answer didn't come. So what is here? What has changed in the room? What is this silence trying to show me? That is active patience.
And I think the hardest part of that is that we want the full picture. We want to know how the story ends. But the text warns us about that too. It says, what is now revealed is only partial. And honestly, after all that work, only partial. That feels like a letdown.
You feel like a letdown to the ego, which wants control, but it is actually a huge mercy.
How is partial information a mercy?
Because the text adds a qualification. Enough to proceed, not enough to conclude.
Enough to proceed, not enough to conclude.
Think about it. If you knew the conclusion, if you knew exactly how the next 5 years would play out, would you actually take the first step? Or would you be overwhelmed? Or bored?
Or terrified.
Probably terrified. Exactly. We are given a flashlight, not a floodlight. The beam only goes 3 feet in front of us. It gives us enough to proceed. It says, take this step, apply for this job, make this phone call. It doesn't tell you where it leads 10 steps later.
It's the antidote to analysis paralysis. We start moving because we don't know the ending. The text is saying, you don't need the ending, you just need the next scene.
Valid guidance is often incomplete. We need to get comfortable with that. You don't need the whole map, you just need to know which direction represents north right now.
So let's bring this down to earth. We've had the presence, we've accepted the responsibility, we've stared into the dark room and seen the layout. What happens next? The text says, the response has not finished its role. It has only opened the next movement.
This implies a cycle. The presence arrives to stabilize you. The silence invites you to take responsibility. The rearrangement of the field lets you see the next step. And then
you have to move.
You have to move.
The final continuation line is, as this meaning deepens, action becomes inevitable and that movement comes next.
Action becomes inevitable. I love that phrasing. It distinguishes between forced action and inevitable action.
What's the difference?
Forced action is panic.
Yeah.
It's flailing. It's, I have to do something, anything. Inevitable action is calm. It comes from seeing the field clearly. Once the room is lit up and you see the door, walking through it isn't a stressful decision. It's just the obvious next step.
It's inevitable.
It becomes inevitable.
So the goal of all this silence and all this patience isn't to make us monks who sit on a mountain and do nothing. It's to get us to a place where we can act with total clarity.
Precisely. It treats the seeker like an adult. A child wants the parent to fix it. An adult wants the partner to stand with them while they fix it themselves. This text describes a partnership with the divine, or with the universe, or with one's own deeper self.
It's a lot to take in. It really flips the script on how we handle bad news or confusing times. So before we wrap up, I want to try and distill this. If someone is listening to this while driving to work, what are the things they need to hold on to?
I would say there are 4 pillars here.
Lay them on me.
First, presence precedes explanation. If you don't get a verbal answer to your problem, don't assume you've been ignored. Look for the shift in the atmosphere. Look for what has remained.
Second, discernment follows response. This is the tough love part. When help comes, the work isn't over. You have to switch from save me mode to show me mode. You have to take responsibility for seeing the new landscape.
Third, meaning is recognized, not taught. Trust your gut. Trust that flash of recognition. You aren't waiting for an email from the universe. You're waiting for things to click into place inside you.
And finally, the one I'm going to print out and put on my wall. Partial understanding is valid guidance. You don't need the conclusion. You just need enough light for the next step.
And once you take that step, the light will move forward with you. That is the next movement.
It really makes you rethink every time you felt abandoned by luck or life. Maybe the field was just being rearranged and we were too busy complaining about the dark to notice the dimmer switch moving.
Or we were waiting for the monsters to disappear instead of looking for the path around them.
That's a powerful place to land. And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. But we always like to leave you with a little homework. A final provocative thought to mull over.
Yes. The text concludes that action becomes inevitable.
So here's the question for you. If you are waiting for an answer to a problem right now, maybe it's a relationship, a job, a health issue, and the answer seems silent, stop staring at the problem. Look at the field around you. Has the context changed? If the answer doesn't remove the difficulty but just rearranges the pieces, are you still watching for the solution to appear? Or are you preparing to move through the new landscape?
Because the movement is yours to make.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll